Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan T. Husk.
Hi, and I'm Kit Bowen, and welcome to another edition of the Creation Entertainment Podcast. What do we have on deck today, Ryan?
I'm so excited for this one. Truly, this one is going to be outstanding. Our Creation co-CEO, Adam Malin, is interviewing Battlestar Galactica's Admiral Adama, the one and only Edward James Olmos. So excited.
Yeah, very exciting. He's such a great actor, like from Blade Runner also, and Stand and Deliver. So looking forward to this one.
Everybody, you don't have to wait any longer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this excellent interview and this episode of the Creation Entertainment Podcast.
Hi, folks. In a career spanning 5 decades, Edward James Olmos has consistently defied expectations and raised the bar with his powerful portrayals, essential social observations of the Mexican-American divide, and stunning acting and direction across all media. More recently, he has thrilled legions of his fans at gatherings such as our annual Salute to Battlestar Galactica, where this following interview is captured. Beyond his legendary turn as Admiral William Adama on that breathtaking reimagining of the original series, Eddie, as his friends lovingly refer to him, has created iconic characters like Jamie Escalante in Stand and Deliver, El Pachuco in Zoot Suit, Detective Gaff in Blade Runner, and the terrifying Montoya Santana in American Me, his brilliant tour de force examination of the collision between Mexican and Italian crime empires. It was a labor of love to sit down with Edward and do a deep dive on his storied career. And I hope you enjoy this as much as it was a thrill and honor for me to go face to face with this American legend.
How many of you were at the show last year? Let's see. Wow. Keeping the faith for you, huh, brother?
So honored, so privileged. It's quite a thing. I'm so grateful for Adam and everything that they do and his whole understanding that I think has become an institution in the country and around the world. You've done a great thing. And I'm very honored to be invited here. I went to Vegas last month, right?
Yeah, we had a good time in Vegas.
Oh my God. That was my first Star Trek convention.
We couldn't get you out of the casino though.
I know. It's okay. I won.
That was so acclaim. It's awesome. I can't believe I'm here with you. It's so great. We've all admired your career for decades. You've reached the point where we can actually call you an elder statesman and not feel bad about it. But I hope you'll indulge me. We have about an hour. I want to leave as much time as I can for audience questions too. But if you guys will indulge me, I would love to do with you a deep dive on Edward's career. Is that okay? And we're going to talk about Galactica, but this man is the sum of an incredible 5-decade career. I've got questions I've been waiting years to ask you, so let's kind of dig down into the memory banks. And the first thing I want to do, because I don't know too much about it, is just get a kind of a take on your childhood, your parents, where you grew up. What was all that about?
I was born in Boyle Heights. It's the east side of Los Angeles, just over the First Street Bridge. And it's a really beautiful community, but very diverse. I mean, this community was like the Ellis Island of the West Coast. I'm not kidding you. And one of the great things about where I was born and raised, and which really made me who I am today, was we were never a melting pot, ever. We were an incredible salad. Where the lettuce stayed the lettuce, the tomato stayed the tomato, the olive stayed the olive, the onion stayed the onion. You know, and on top of it, you could put a French dressing or Russian dressing, whatever you want to put on it. But they never, ever blended. It was not about that. It was about individual understanding of each one of those elements together made a wonderful salad. And that to me was the essence of life. And that's why when I find the divisiveness that we're going through now, I say to myself, it's really sad because we really need a Dhamma now. More than ever.
Amen. But a lot of your earlier works do speak to divisiveness that existed then, and on the part of the Latino and particularly the Mexican community was so set upon, and there was so much racism. It's a theme that recurs in a lot of your early films, and I want to kind of really get into that. But I don't know how many people realize that you had a pretty active musical career, and you and I share love of the keyboard. I'm a keyboard player, and so are you.
Yeah, I never took a lesson, but I sure like to sit at the piano. And I enjoyed writing songs on the piano and on guitar a little bit. But I was a rock and roll singer.
Yes, he had a band called Pacific Ocean, and they were pretty damn good, too.
We were
Tell me about that.
We were strong. We ended up, I started playing on the rock and roll about 1960. None of you were born yet. And I was
listening.
You were not born, not in 60, were you? No.
56.
Were you really?
I'm 70.
You're holding up really well.
So are you. Thank you.
I'm impressed. I really am.
Some of the guys that you worked with, you worked with Todd Rundgren, and you were a successful band. So, you had that whole career going.
Yeah, it was good. It was a combination of understanding my love for one of the things I learned as a kid, my life as a young little person here, growing up, I was born in Boyle Heights, and I really learned a basic fundamental that to this day has become my understanding of life that I share. I share it every time I can, especially with younger people, because people think that I'm gifted or talented, naturally talented. You're just wow, you're incredible. I said, wait a minute, don't take hard work away from me, okay?
Yeah.
Do not under any circumstance think that I came out of my mother's womb saying to be or not to be.
Craft is painful.
Ooh, it's discipline.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned at the age of 5, I disciplined myself to do the things I didn't like to do, like brush my teeth, make my bed, all that kind of stuff. Come on, pick up after yourself, pick up the clothes, I disciplined myself to do things I didn't like to do, so that I would have the discipline to do the things I loved to do when I didn't feel like doing them.
No, that's true. And if you really do love a craft, you also do have to work at it.
Every day, 7 days a week.
And that means commitment, and it's not always pleasant, the process itself.
Because we don't have any discipline when we're born. We're not born with discipline, determination, perseverance. And the key ingredient to the entire existence of your life on this planet is patience. You have to have patience to get through life.
And perseverance.
Yeah. Discipline, determination, perseverance, and patience.
So, all of your work as a musician, that wonderful work, really helped to inform you, and all of a sudden, you found yourself getting involved in this wonderful musical in 79, Zoot Suit.
Yeah, 78 is when we...
78. Tell me about the genesis of the stage project, then we'll talk about the film, but the genesis of the stage project and how you make the leap from, a lead singer or musician. You have those kind of skills that musical theater, a lot of the skills that musical theater needs, but how do you make the jump and then become a lead in a stage musical?
Well, again, like I said, at 5, I started to discipline myself to do things I loved to do when I didn't feel like doing them. And guess what? I enjoyed a lot playing baseball. And I couldn't play baseball when I started. I couldn't even catch the ball. I'd never seen one. And then all of a sudden, my neighbors were playing with one. And we started playing, and I played it 7 days a week. I wasn't the only thing I did, but I did do that. It's like people say, how can you sit here and say that you've done something 7 days a week? For years. How can you have the guts to say that? There wasn't one day that how many of you brush your teeth every day? I mean, every day. How many of you brush your teeth every day, twice a day? 3 times?
That's a bit much.
Okay, no. Some people have their toothbrushes with them.
Yeah.
All the time after they eat, they just brush their teeth real quick in the bathroom. And it's over. And guess what? They have perfect teeth. Now, you know as well as I do, no one likes to brush their teeth. And you do, and you get used to it, but basically it's something you have to do. So how can you question my ability to do something I love to do when you think you do things that you do 7 days a week that you have to do? The hardest part is to discipline yourself to do the things you love to do when you don't feel like doing them. And that comes to the situation. So I went from baseball to music. I danced first. I started dancing at the age of 10. And from 10 to about 14, I was playing baseball, and I was a really good baseball player. I was playing for the Dodger farm team by the time I was 13. I was in I was the batting champion of the state of California when I was 13 and 14 years old for my age range. And I used to play with the Knott brothers, and they were older than I was. And they were all already playing for the Dodgers, and Pena and all these guys, great ball players. And I was playing with them, and I was catcher, but I played everything. I learned how to play every position, including third base coach, manager, and first base coach. I learned how to do everything. And it was beautiful, because that's how you learn then. That's why so many of our players like Mookie and many people in Dodgers and many teams have players that are all around. They can play any position including pitching. They can do everything. And so I started playing baseball, and then I started dancing. And then when I started dancing, I got in. One day, at the age of 14, I hung up my cleats, and I told my dad, I'm not going to do this anymore. He said, oh, come on, what, you crazy? I was taking a bath. He says, make sure you get the soap out behind your ears. I said, okay, Dad, but I told him, I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And that day I got out. I had just finished a doubleheader. I was 14 years old. They were giving me an opportunity to play for a single A ball and for the Dodger farm teams. And I said to them, I said, no, I can't do that. And I went next door to my neighbor's house, and he was a guitar player, excellent guitar player. And he was a little kid, but he's 1 year older than I was. But by the time he was 14, he could play. I mean, he could play like I could play baseball. He could play the guitar. And so I would go over there, and I was listening to, at that time, we were listening to Buddy Holly, we were listening to Little Richard, we were listening to Elvis Presley, you know. Great rock and rollers at the time, 55, 56. When I heard Tutti Frutti on the radio, I went nuts. I go, what the hell's this? You know, it's great music. And so from then, I started dancing and watching and viewing, because television came out, Ed Sullivan Show and all this in 56, 57. We got our first television when I was, I think, in 53 or 54. And so we were watching things that we could watch, and so I was getting exposed to the world. And so I ended up dancing, and then at 14, I started to play rock and roll music, and then when I got into rock and roll music, I never stopped. I played music like I played baseball, and I ended up becoming, I was never a good singer, ever was I a good singer, but could I perform? Woo!
I think you're a pretty damn good singer, judging by Zoot Suit the movie.
Yeah, well, the film was great. I mean, I can sing, but I can't sing. I don't have, the chops that some of the great singers have. But I started singing at 14. By the time I was 17, I got into college, okay? I went to East LA Community College, and as I went into college, I took my first acting class to help me on the stage to perform as a singer, as an artist, entertainer. But then theater, music. So 14 years later, up comes a role. You know what luck is, right? Luck is preparation meets opportunity. That's lucky. Okay, when you're prepared, an opportunity's open there, and you're prepared for it, and you get it, forget it. And that's what I did. I walked in, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids tried out for the roles in this play.
Was Louis Valdez himself actually doing the audition?
Yeah,
or?
Yeah. This was serious.
This guy is an amazing creative.
Yeah. one of the great playwrights, authors, poets, guys.
So you get in front of Louis Valdez, and how are you auditioning for him?
Forget it. It was incredible. I walked in and I knew, when I read the first page of the opening, the monologue that they gave all the 400 or 500 guys who were sitting there, standing around and waiting their turn. And thank God they were there, because you get a chance to rehearse your part, because they hand it to you as you walk in, and then they ask you to give it back when you walk out. So it was a monologue. And it was...
Was it an El Pachuco monologue?
Oh, yeah. And in dialogue that I'd never seen written. I knew the language because I was born and raised in East LA and I'd heard it. But how many of you, ¿cuántos de ustedes me están entendiendo ahorita? Por favor, levanten la mano. Okay, there's at least 10 of us in here that speak Spanish.
It's a fairly elegant dialect.
It's not. It's Gypsy, it's Spanish and English combined.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So the three languages together make a language that the other two don't understand. You can't. ¿Qué le guacha mis trapos? I'm speaking Spanish, Carlo, right now. The people who know Spanish are saying, what did he just say? Sounded, there's some of that I understood, but ¿qué le guacha mis trapos? Pues ¿sabe qué? Estas garras me las planté porque me dijeron que iban a estar aquí, pues órale.
So did you ace the audition? Did he?
Oh God, yeah. I was so on to this situation. I understood it. It's like when I did Battlestar. When I walked in and I read the script, I said, holy mackerel. This is one of the finest written pieces I've ever read. And so when they asked me to come in and I auditioned, I didn't audition, but I spoke to them, because by this time I had done, Zoot Suit, and I never auditioned. After Zoot Suit, landing Zoot Suit to play, I never auditioned again.
Could we just talk a little bit about El Pachuco and the character and how he serves in Zoot Suit? How many of you are familiar with Zoot Suit, let's say? Not that many, but it's an incredible story. First of all, your character is not exactly an actual live person in the work. He's more of kind of a spiritual figurehead, a narrator. He drives narrative. Mm-hmm. He introduces scenes. He becomes the voice of conscience. He's a fascinating character and so flamboyant. You're so physical in the role. It's an amazing thing to look at you, the certain kind of a swagger, that certain posture. What do you call that thing when you're kind of aimed backwards? Is there a name for that look?
Yeah, it's called attitude.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that had never been seen before. We did this performance, and this performance was centered around a true, part of the culture that's on the streets of El Paso. Started there in El Paso, between El Paso and Mexico.
The whole phenomenon of wearing the zoot suit.
Los pachucos.
Yeah.
Well, the zoot suit came from Illinois. It came from Zoot Sims, who started using it in 1922. And it was a way that they dressed. He had high-waisted pants. He had 13 inches around the ankle, 35 inches around the knee.
So stylized.
Oh, are you kidding? Real high-waisted. And a fingertip coat. You'd stand up and the coats were longer than your hand was straight. And it was had a long, big shoulder. And you wore really beautiful hats with pork pie feather, and it was with a chain and anything else you wanted to wear. But it was something that was really stylized in the 20s. There were jazz musicians used it.
It's
Calloway.
Kind of a symbol of defiance in a little bit, isn't it?
It's like the hippies.
Yeah.
The hippie movement of the 1940s and 50s. And they were stylized and very wonderful. So I ended up doing this. And by doing this, what ends up happening is that I end up becoming a character that had never been seen before in the history of theater on the American stage. And that's when the American Theater Wing, after me performing it for over 300 performances, came up and said, there are 3 definitive characters that have arisen on the American stage in the history of American theater. It's Willie Loman, Death of a Salesman, Stanley Kowalski from Streetcar, named Desire, and El Pachuco from Zoot Suit. I said, wow, that's kind of impressive.
The Sleepy Lagoon, the story of what happened to Mexican Americans who were sort of framed in the Sleepy Lagoon case is actually kind of a bit of a tragedy, and that's taken right out of the Times, and also is kind of an indictment of racism at the time. That's part of what makes it such a powerful work.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's worse today than it was even then. That's the issue. We're in 2025, and discrimination and prejudices against culture are harder now than they were back in the 40s, 30s, 20s. And it's going to get worse. I mean, you can see it happening. I mean, they really are trying to clear out the country, and they want to make it a nationalist, white, Christian country. That's it. I don't know. I really hope. I pray. So say we all. Okay.
And
so say we all.
And both on the stage and into the movie, you worked with Daniel Valdez, and the symbiosis of you and him, as sort of Henry's kind of. Not doppelganger, but sort of internal voice, is such a powerful relationship, and the two of you, the chemistry between you two is unbelievable.
It's a beautiful. I'm him, and my character is his inner self talking to himself. I'm like the little devil and the angel on each side of your shoulder when you say, "No, I'm not." Yes, I am. I told him. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I told you. One of those
awesome.
Inside your brain, you're always fighting yourself. When I'm the part that he's fighting, and so it's a wonderful way to tell. It's a beautiful theatrical piece, much better than the movie. The movie's fantastic, but the play was
live.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
they came from all over the world. I mean, I'm not saying this because I did the role. I'm saying this because the role was so unusual and one of a kind that people came. The entire Royal Shakespearean Company. The entire company came in planes with the head of the Royal Shakespearean Company, Sir Sebastian. He came, and they all came to watch the play. They had to see it, because that's what happens when something like that happens. The word goes out, and boom, everybody goes where it's happening. And so this in the theater was like nothing had ever heard.
Given that it's like 40, 45 years ago, I mean, not everybody today knows really how important and seminal work it was, but an incredible milestone in your career. But a year or two, around the time that the film came out, you stumbled into a role with a director named Ridley Scott called Blade Runner. Now, how did you get hooked up with that, and what is it like working with Ridley, who is still pouring out amazing movies 45 years later?
Truly a gift, okay? And remember, 1978 is when I hit the international artistic stage of storytelling in theater. And then I did Wolfen with Albert Finney, which was my first major piece.
Incredible actor.
Oof, great movie. If you've ever seen Wolfen, if you haven't seen Wolfen, you should see it. But it was made back in 79 into 80. And I just finished doing that with Albert when Ridley, they called me. And again, I didn't audition for Wolfen. I didn't audition for Blade Runner. He called me up and wanted to know if I wanted to be a part of his thing. And you got to remember, Gaff, the character, was nothing more than like an Uber driver for Decker. You know, that's all he did. If you stop to remember, he doesn't talk much, and he just drives him around in the spinner. And that's it. Until I walked in and I started talking to Ridley, and Ridley really gave to me, I come from a long line of understanding certain things. One of the things is I have to work with people that are secure, that are really, they're secure. Insecure people I can't work with. I'm like a threat. I end up saying things and they say, you know, just get over there and say your lines, please. Oh, okay. All right. And then I know that they have no sense of understanding. We're there to tell a story, and that this is a really collaborative art form in the highest sense. There's nothing more collaborative than a story either told by a book or a play or live performance, a movie, television. It's all collaborative. You're standing and you talk and you're going to do something, and this is what I feel and this is what's happening, and you want that to go down, and you want it to go down with a lot of love for the story, or else what are we doing here? If you're here to make money, then you know what? Go ahead. Tell me where you want me to stand. Okay. What do you want me to say? Okay. How do you want me to say it? Okay.
Gaff doesn't have a lot of dialogue, though.
No, he doesn't have any. He had very little until I created this language called City Speak.
Yeah, tell us about City Speak.
I told Ridley, and he was so open to it. I walk in, he doesn't know who I am. He's heard about me. Somebody's told him, but I turned to him and said, listen, I really believe that the future, 2019, remember, this is 1980. I said, in 2019 and 40 years from now, this city, Los Angeles, is going to be diverse, really diverse. And it's going to be mainly Asian, Latino, and African. It's going to be really diverse. And I said, and I think that a person who's going to be a cop, a real good cop, is going to have to be able to speak to the people on the streets. Now, in order to speak to people on the streets, you have to speak the language of the streets. But since there's going to be there's a Japanese quarter, there's a Hungarian quarter, there's an Italian quarter, there's a Mexican quarter, Latino quarter. There's different cultures, and they all have their own city speak. They all have their own way of talking in the city, in the street. So by saying that, they turn around, and if you're a cop and you come up to them and you're speaking in English, they're going to turn, no te entiendo. I don't understand you, you know. And so Germans would turn around and speak German to them, you know. Don't ask me questions about, you know, I don't want to get in between anything, you know, leave me out of it. And it's always, so the cop has to be able to talk to the city, a street talk. And so I said, I want to create a street talk. He goes, And I said, yeah, and I want to be a guy. My great-great-great-grandfather was from Russia. He went across on a boat to Japan and married my great-great-great-grandmother. And my great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandmother went off and lived in the Philippines. And then they had kids, and those kids married Filipinos. And the Filipino kids, they were part Russian and Japanese, went and lived in France. And then, you know, and so, you know, I said, by the time I'm done, I want to be speaking about 10 languages. And he said, well, what would that sound like? I go,
It's awesome.
yeah. He looked at me and said, okay. Because he knew that what I was talking about was something that he had. I brought the origami pieces.
We're going to talk about the origami unicorn in a second, but
not the unicorn. I mean the whole concept of the Asian concept. I was Chinese, Japanese, Italian, punk, you know, French.
Do you think that Gaff knew that Decker was a replicant?
Of course he did.
He did.
Of course he did. He leaves the goddamn unicorn.
Give
me a break.
That's what I'm asking.
Did anybody see the movie?
Why did he leave the unicorn?
Why did he leave the unicorn? Yeah. Because if you remember, you got to go back and see the movie again because you missed the dream, Decker's dream. Right. We all knew it, right? We saw his dream. We saw the unicorn, white unicorn in his dream. And all of a sudden, down the road a little ways, you know, he comes out of, and he's with Rachel, and he comes to the elevator, and Rachel's is in the elevator, and he's come up. They're going to go off into the sunset like they did in the first version of Blade Runner. They go off into the sunset and see, like, you know, the national parks of California, you know. So, but, you know, he looks down and he sees a unicorn, and he picks it up, and he looks at it. Then he looks at her, and he knows that she's a replicant. He knows it. But at that moment, he looks at her, he goes, and he knows what the unicorn means. It's his dream. That means that somebody knew his dream. And guess what? If I know your dream, then guess what? You're a replicant.
Right.
I caught you.
So that answers the question, which we kind of knew, but now we've confirmed it with you.
Well, you know what happened, which is really funny? Harrison hated. He hated the idea. It's like, you know, when Michael Hogan, who is the XO found out he was a Cylon. That was a ridiculous moment in our reading room when we were reading the script where they presented the 5 Cylons, the new ones, and in Battlestar, and when Hogan found out, the XO found out, we were sitting there reading it, and we get to the end of the page, and we learned it the way you learned it. When you're watching the program, you're watching it. So all of a sudden he stands up, throws the script, and he says, "This is fucking bullshit." Boom. And he walks out. He walks out. I'm not kidding you.
I believe it.
He was so angry. Oh my God. And guess what? It worked perfectly. If you remember after he found out, if you watch his performance right after he found out and you start seeing him, he's angry all the time. He just...
All right, listen, your career is too vast, and I don't have enough time, but I want to curate some moments from your career. I got to move on. I want to talk about Stand and Deliver. I remember when the movie came out. I saw it, at the time, and I couldn't believe what an inspirational story it was. A completely different kind of a character for you. Tell me about how you got involved with the production. It was just so amazing.
Well, I was doing Miami Vice. I was playing Lieutenant Martin Castillo.
Which was a wonderful role.
And I was playing Lieutenant Martin Castillo on an NBC show. Of course, they own you. NBC owns you because you're doing one of their shows. Except for me to get into that show, I asked for 2 things. I asked for creative control of my character, and I asked for a non-exclusive contract. Unheard of.
You can ask for
1984. Well, yeah, at that point I could, because I'd done Blade Runner, I'd done Wolfen, I'd done, Zoot Suit, and the word was out, So if you want me to work with you, it's great. But I told Michael Mann, I said, I can't do this for you. And he says, he called me up and he offered me a lot of money. First offer was more than my father had made in his entire career of working for 50 years. Did not make as much money as they were offering me for the first 20 episodes on Miami Vice. And that's stupid, okay? It's stupid. People work their asses off, and here, I get it, But, all right. I say no. And then he comes back and he doubles it. And I said, no, I can't. I need a non-exclusive contract and creative control. And you can't give me either one of those 2 things. You can't. And then I hung up. Ding, he rings again. More money. And, now it's a really crazy time. I go, whoa. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? If I only knew that all I had to do is say no, that they keep raising the price. I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. I learned it right then.
But you ended up getting the non-exclusive deal.
Yes, yeah. Non-exclusive and creative control.
So then
how do you think Lieutenant Martin Castillo or Gaff or Zoot Suit or and Wolfen, I have creative control of the characters. That's the way you get the kind of commitment and understanding by an artist, is by giving them an opportunity to have a voice in what they're doing. And if they don't have the creative control, the last decision, the last situation, and it's not that doesn't have anything to do with ego, okay, people? It has nothing to do with, it's my job, it's my thing, this is me. No, it's about, what are you doing? What does the story, what does it need? How are we going to make this something very special? Had I not done what I did for Miami Vice would not have been the show that it was. It couldn't have been. Lieutenant Castillo was way different than they said that I was I was a character out of a bad Bergman movie. That's what they said. That's how they critiqued.
How did you meet Ramon Menendez and Tom Muska?
Those guys were great. They ended up, coming to me because who I was.
I mean, what a character! You were perfect for the character.
Well, I became that character.
You became that character. You physically transformed for that character.
Yeah, you got to remember. Go back to Stand and Deliver, and then look at it, and then just turn on one episode of Miami Vice, and it's being done at the same time. So you figure out how that was done.
I'm still trying to figure out how you looked the way that you did. It was so different.
I know. It used to take me 4.5 hours on the makeup trailer, just putting on my hair. No, I was bald. It was really incredible work that this hairstylist did.
I mean, American Me, which I want to just talk about briefly, is such an incredible film. But that's 4 years later, and you look like 20 years younger in American Me than you did in Stand and Deliver. So what a transformation.
I was very grateful.
But you realize that movie, though, Stand and Deliver, inspired educators. I mean, it was so important at the time.
It has a wonderful accolade. The accolade is this. That movie has been seen more than any other film ever filmed and shown in the United States of America. Ever. By, it beats Gone with the Wind, it beats, E.T., it beats, Star Wars, it beats
It's
Jaws.
an amazing achievement.
Well, the reason is because, and I'm sure many of you that saw that movie, saw it in school. Yeah, your teacher showed it to you. And that tens of thousands of teachers have used that movie to inspire the students and themselves, to motivate them.
And my mother used the film in her high school class. My mom used that film. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because, and how many years did she teach? Because that film's
26 years.
Right. That film has been out for over 40. So you figure out.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, so when they told me this accolade, I said, what are you talking about? They said, yeah, I mean, basically it's being used by schools. And it's like Catcher in the Rye. Everybody had to read Catcher in the Rye for English. You had the 8th grade. You had to read it.
Okay, well, it's an amazing movie, but nothing could have prepared me for American Me. How many of you are familiar with that film, American Me? This is such a powerful piece of work. Now, was this your directorial debut?
As a film director, yes.
It's such a powerful piece of work. Could you, for those that haven't seen it, could you set it up for the audience briefly?
Yeah, it's a true story. It's a true story. It took me 18 years to get the ability to film it. I had to do Stand and Deliver, become the first and only to this day Mexican-American actor to ever be nominated for an Oscar in the United States of America, ever. To this moment, I'm still the only one. Doesn't make any sense to me. I even hate to say it because that's not right. There's something deadly wrong. That when I'm the only one that's ever been nominated.
It's stupid.
Born in the United States of America, I'm a Mexican-American, born here, who, you had Jose Ferrer, who was nominated for Ciro de Bergerac in the 50s. You had Anthony Quinn, who won 2 of them, but they were supporting actors. But neither one of those 2 were born in the United States. Jose Ferrer was born in Cuba, and Anthony Quinn was born in Mexico, and Rita Moreno was born in Puerto Rico. And, but they were all the only single. I mean, basically, I'm the only Latino American that has been nominated for an Oscar.
Well,
role. Now that is sad, man.
It is.
I know it's sad because I enjoyed the movie too. Yeah. But I should have won.
Oh,
basically, I mean, that's what
I think American Me is the Mexican Godfather in a certain sense. It's it's a generational saga. It's sweeping, and it examines cycles of gang violence, prison violence, and there's a kind of a metaphor in the film where you're having a lovemaking sequence that ends up derailing and getting very violent, and simultaneously to that juxtaposes the rape of a guy in prison. It's so powerful. It must have been maybe controversial at the time, or?
Oh, it was brutal. Are you kidding? It was very difficult to watch, and it still is. I don't recommend it. Anyone, if you haven't seen it, don't watch it. It's not made for entertainment.
It's fabulous.
This was made to scare people straight, and the people who had to see it have seen it, and they've seen it 25, 30, 40 times, 100 times. These kids cheat. They were going down the road like this, and they saw the movie, and they changed the direction they were going in. That's what it was made for, but it also served as a training film. If you wanted to get into that world and that life, you knew exactly what you were getting into. which they had never seen before. And I'm talking about 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 10-year-olds, young kids that are growing up in the streets, and they see the elders come back from prison and they have the party. They come back as heroes, And I got to tell you, the reason that I got to do American Me was because of the fact that I had gotten the Oscar nomination. And then Universal Studios said to me, what film would you like to do now? Because I was pretty well respected by that time. And I said I was going to do American Me. I've been trying to get it done for, 18 years. And they said, oh, yeah, we know the writer real well. And, so they said yes. It was originally given to Al Pacino in 1976. He was going to play the role of Santana. At that time, he was named to do it. Yeah, he was a different kind of...
It was meant for you. And I really think that Santana's loss of innocence is an indictment, really.
The scene where, you won't believe it if you see the movie, there's a scene where they're walking on the beach through the water, which is just, oh my God, tears your heart out.
It's so sad.
It tears your heart out. He's looking over the ocean like this, and this girl's standing, he's never been with a girl, okay? Been with men, not with women.
Love trying to find its way through that darkness.
And he's standing on the beach in the water, hitting him, and he looks up and he's looking at the beach, and he's tough. This guy's the head. He's the godfather, the creator of the Mexican mafia. And just like the godfather in The Godfather, the Italian mafia, they same story. The only difference between American Me and The Godfather is that no one comes out of American Me humming the theme song. And no one wants to be part of Santana's family, where everybody wanted to be Michael Corleone. They embraced and romanticized and glamorized that world to the point where, ooh, God, it's pretty cool to be part of the mafia.
It's toxic, but
From the Mexican mafia, it's
Edward,
death.
The movie is one of the great works of your career. I couldn't say enough great things about it. It's an amazing film. But we're all here for, amongst other things, Battlestar Galactica. So let's talk Battlestar, finally. Because we could spend 10 years talking about your massive career, but how did Battlestar first come to you? How did the project come to you? Did Ron approach you? Or?
No, yeah. David Icke.
David Icke.
David Icke is the key to Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Ron Moore is a creative force, but David Icke created Ron Moore's ability to do this. He went to Ron and said, I got an idea, let's do this. And then, Ron was thinking about what he's going to be doing. He was doing Star Trek. He had just finished killing Kurt. That's when people hated him. And then, so they were talking, and David Icke is truly a gift. And I'm so glad he's here this year.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful man. Is he going to be with us on the panel, the big panel?
I don't know. I don't know.
So. Tomorrow, he's here tomorrow. Oh,
yeah.
Tomorrow. Okay, he should be here tonight.
So did he...
Tonight we're here. You know what's happening tonight, right, guys?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
This place better be jam-packed.
Who cast you?
Well, it was David Icke, Ron Moore, and Michael Reimer. Reimer was the director. He's the one that had to okay everybody. And, even though he wasn't the producer, they could override him if they wanted. Michael was a brilliant director, and he had done a brilliant job casting. And you could see by the people who played in the parts. They were beautiful. I mean, this was a family that to this day we are still friends and still together as an entire family.
But you, I think, fairly famously said at the time that the only way you'd get involved with the series is if it was a serious piece of work. And I think you had good reasons for saying that.
I just told Reimer, I told Ron, listen, I've done Blade Runner, Battlestar Galactica. The only way that this is even going to start to be understood is the real understanding of what we're doing. I saw in my contract, I put, if I see one four-eyed two-mouth, 15-ear monster, jellyfish kind of looking person. I'm going to faint on camera, and you're going to have to write in, Adama died of a heart attack. It was in the contract.
Can we do a little bit of a deconstruction on Adama's psyche and his sort of MO? He's a hardened commander, but a kind of a flawed father. And you want to just kind of take that apart for us a little bit?
I mean, he was, look at military leaders, what an ugly job. I mean, can you imagine? Okay, send out the 5th Fleet. Okay, there's, how many went out? 400. Oh, Jesus, oh great. How many came back? 3. What? And you did it. You're the one who said, send them, let's go. This is the decision. This is the choice. This is what we have to do. It's a war. Go for it. So you're sending out young men, young women to fight, you know, and you're the head. You're the one that's deciding who's going to live and who's going to die. And it gets to you. So he was the best. He was one of the best pilots. Him and XO, you know, Ty, you know, were friends, and they have both fought in the first Cylon Wars 40 years before the story starts. And we were the best, and we had beat them. And here we are 40 years later, and I refuse to allow technology on my boat. No, that we weren't hooked up to anything. I wouldn't allow it. That's the whole gist of the beginning of the story. It's turning into a museum because we wouldn't I wouldn't let anybody put any kind of...
Upgrade it.
At all. Not even a little bit. We still use phones with that cord on it. Hello. And so basically, that understanding that I refused to update and I advise a lot of you to get off the internet. Get off of it. I mean, unless you really understand what's going on, you really have to realize, and you might say, well, it's too late, Eddie. We're all on there. Yeah, you are. It is too late, and we all are on there. But I got to tell you right now, the more you can get away, get your phone and leave it over there, and you go this way, and the phone is way over there. And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, leave a message, you know?
I just think that your relationship, Adama's relationship with Lee, is so complex and brutal, uncomfortable and fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it was a beautiful scene, the very first scene where you meet Lee Adama, and he comes in and he's talking to his father. Man, the tension was superb. I mean, it was brilliantly acted by Jamie. It's just, what a great, we had a choice.
Your chemistry is unbelievable.
Well, we had a choice. Either I get blue eyes or he gets, my hair. And it was funny because, he says, no, I'll go with your hair. I go, okay, well, I'm going to have one of us, I'll do the blue eyes. So I put contact. I had blue eyes the whole time. People thought I was a blue-eyed brown guy, which is really wonderful. But anyway, we had a great understanding. It was, Ron Moore. Okay, he wrote this, and we had some great writers. He staffed a beautiful group of people. Our writers' room. Oh, it was incredible. And I mean, it was incredible. Wonderful people, wonderful. God, we all became just so tight, so beautifully. What a wonderful family. I've done many television shows in my lifetime. Great ones. I mean, really good ones. And come on, West Wing, Miami Vice, NYPD Blue, Hill Street Blues, Dexter. You guys can name them because you saw them all. But, great shows. But there's been nothing that I've done that has gotten close. This is the best usage of television I've ever done in the history of my life, period. This show.
That could be part of why we're here. I think the series, even though it's really not that long ago, is so prescient in thinking of themes such as humanity, slavery, AI, what the meaning, the meaning of being of human or a person of consciousness is, and how do you think that Dama wrestled with those kind of contradictions? Here he is killing the enemy, but they feel they have a right to be human too and not be slaves, and so.
Ron was amazing, in the understanding of the structure, because you got to remember the Cylons believed in one God. Okay, humans believed in the gods. Hello, how many of you believe in the gods? Okay, how many believe in God?
That was a strange mutation.
We the viewers now are completely torn apart. And then he did it every time. He always turned it on the right to live, the right choice, That even became an issue. Everything became an issue. We were blowing up the Cylons. We'd put wrap bombs around ourselves to destroy the Cylons when we were on Caprica. And I'm telling you, they were so smart. And today, to this bit, the last thing you did, 6 says to Baltar, this has happened before, and Baltar says, yeah, it's going to happen again. Well, right now, all of you that have Teslas are riding around in Cylons. You think I'm joking? You think I'm joking?
I know I saw literally a toaster backstage.
That's fun.
So did you kind of get any inspiration from historical military figures that informed kind of the way that you acted, Adama? Were you thinking of anybody in particular, or not really?
No, I didn't have to go that route.
Yeah.
I just knew.
What was on the page is so brilliant that...
It was just right there. Very seldom did I ever even negate what was being given to me. It was just precious, and then I started directing it, and then they allowed me to direct it and direct 2 of the movies. Of the 4 movies, I directed 2 of them, and I did like 5 episodes that I directed, and it became the essence of what we were doing was the truths that we were touching. So much so that in 2009, I don't know how many of you saw Battlestar Galactica at the UN. That's never been done before. There's been no popular television show that's ever been brought to the UN and talked to the entire planet. And they brought it in there because they wanted to do some extraordinary understandings of what we depicted, children at war. Reconciliation was the thing that drove everybody crazy. How can you reconcile with the Cylons? How did the human beings do that? How can they do that? They had a reconciliation for the UN spoke for about 20 minutes. Then the panel was opened up, and it was Mary, myself, Ron, and David Icke, and Whoopi Goldberg was the moderator. And she was blown away. She had no idea what she's getting into until she was right there, and it started to unravel. And everybody goes, whoa, because I told her, the whole group, it was jam-packed, and they brought in high school students, and I talked to everybody, and that was when I said the ultimate understanding of our show, which reconciliation comes through the understanding that there's only one race, the human race. Yep, that's exactly what I said.
And speaking of So Say We All, Adama, talk about the written page. Adama had some epic speeches that he gave. The guy had amazing oratory powers, and I'll never forget when I heard So Say We All, at that time, it was like such an incredible anthemic rallying cry.
It's starting, and it's needed today.
Yeah.
We all need to say, so say we all. Yeah, and it's got to be that way, and it's got to come like we are today, saying it with a whole lot of understanding, compassion, and empathy for the person sitting next to you.
So I haven't even had a chance to talk about one of my favorite works of yours, which is Mayans. I love that show. And working with Kurt Sutter and Elgin James must have been an incredible experience. I ran out of time. I got to give time for the audience for questions, but we didn't get to talk about your kind of advocacy, so many different things that you do outside of your your acting and your directing career, but we'll have to save that for another time and another conversation. But I do want
You'll have another one of these.
God willing. Let's start over there, and we're going to start to take some questions, please.
Yes, I had one question regarding a particular episode, Resurrection Ship, or it might be an episode prior to that. You and Michelle Forbes' character, Admiral Kane, had assassination plots against each other. You canceled yours. Any thoughts on why she canceled hers?
No.
The mystery continues. Thank you.
I have no idea what she did.
Over to that side.
Thank you. I'm curious to know who you're reading. Playwrights, screenwriters, who is challenging stories that are entertaining you and pushing boundaries to educate the way theater and some television was meant to do?
Yeah, well, I did Mayans, and then I did Dexter, and those guys were challenging. Everybody that I've been able to work with have been extraordinary, and I've appreciated working with them. It's hard, though. Some of the values that are depicted in some of the shows are very difficult. Mayans is very difficult. It's just, they killed everybody. You know, yes, you see how happy they get?
In what sense?
Well, because of the fact that, you know, like, basically, I get killed in the second to last show. I get killed holding my grandson. Did anybody see it?
Yeah, it's a horrible tragedy.
Horrible. I'm sitting there, I'm holding a gun in one hand, my grandson in the other hand, and I'm dying. You know, with the child. And then the next episode, which is the last episode, that child and my oldest son, Angel, are the only two that come out alive of the whole story that you've been watching for 5 years. I mean, come on. Everybody died. And you sit there going, whoa, this story is not a happy ending. But it was. There's Angel and my grandson walking through the beach. It was amazing. I mean, this Kurt Sutter and, you know, Eldon James, they're both good nuts.
It was,
but that's, you're asking me, yes, right now I'm working with Luis Valdez again.
Amazing.
I'm directing his latest play into a movie. It's called Valley of the Heart, and you're going to love this.
Valley of the Heart?
You're going to love this
movie. Oh, my God. I can't believe you've reunited with him.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
It is, and it's monumental. And Valley of the Heart is a simple love story between a Japanese-American girl and her family and a Mexican-American boy and his family. And the story starts on December 5th, 1941.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my God, it's ridiculous. You have no idea what you're going to get into, but it's the love story that just will grab your heart and say, oh, my God.
All right, well, we're going to put that on our radar.
Valley of the Heart.
Over there.
I posed this question almost 10 years ago in discussion of that Battlestar seems to involve the machines becoming more human, but I thought it more likely that humanity would become more machine-like. And 10 years on, how do you feel about that?
I think you're right. I think we have become more machine-like, you know, and we're getting more and more understanding of the fact that we don't have a chance, okay? AGI is here. Many of you don't even know what that means, but it gives the AI concept, artificial intelligence, the ability to reason and to learn on its own. That's over. They're so much smarter than we are already. AI is way beyond us. They can beat us in chess. They can. We got just last month. I think it was in Las Vegas. A lieutenant colonel comes up and he says, "Yeah, we've been working. We almost didn't make it, but we won AI in fighter pilot fighting each other. The human beat it.
Well, all the loyal wingmen in the 6th generation fighter groups, the loyal wingmen are all AI drones.
Now, so, basically we're facing a reality, an understanding that, right now, Elon Musk is developing 1 billion Cylons with capacity of AGI. And yes, he said, oh, we're going to make them, they're going to be helping us, in all the work, like working in the fields or working, in different kind of service jobs throughout the country. You can work them and you don't have to give them life insurance. You don't have to give them extra. You can use them 24/7, as long as you charge them up and they'll be able to. But you're going to find out that they are, quote unquote, all capable of outthinking you. And they're learning every day. And they're connected, and people are saying, well, what are you talking about? I said, look, we're striving to build the center of AI. But so is Russia, so is China, so is, the Saudis. They're spending trillions of dollars to build units that will be able to command AI.
It's hopeless. It's like Colossus, the Forbin project.
And all of those different countries are building these machines.
It's really bad.
Connect. You know they're going to connect.
It's not good. Yeah.
You know they're going to.
It's Colossus, the Forbin project.
And it's crazy because you know as well as I do, they're not going to say the Chinese, we're for the Chinese. They're not going to say, no, we're for the Russians because the Russians built it. No, we're for the United States because the United States built it. They're going to look at each other and say, well, our biggest problem is the human race. Yep, there you go.
Let's
Welcome.
get over there.
It's going to happen again.
We've got time for a couple more questions. Go ahead.
Eddie, one of my favorite roles you did, besides Adama, is the Supreme Court Justice in The West Wing. And
fabulous.
Those 2 episodes alone are 2 of my most favorite episodes of the series. And I just wanted to tell you, the scene where you are arrested just because you're Hispanic and you were driving your little boy and your wife in the car, and Toby and Toby and Sam came to get you.
Yeah.
And Toby told the police to make you get an apology from the 2 officers that arrested you. How often now with that are you seeing with what's going on with ICE? It's got to be a full circle moment for that character that you played in The West Wing to see cops now doing that on a mass basis every day. How do we as Americans, as human beings, respond to that safely and in a way that is respectful?
You've seen what's happened now. There's no more respect coming from this understanding in this government. There's no more sense of balance. I mean, he's definitely proven himself. Even his last trip to England, he was there. Who did he take to England with him? All the heads of all the major corporations and companies in this country, and all the all the AI people, and all the big companies. He took them there to work out and work with their top branch. And it's become an oligarchy of the planet. The last country they needed was ours. They had the United States. They have Russia on their oligarchy, and all of the wealth is being run by one guy who controls their wealth. And then in China, same thing. And in North Korea, and everywhere they have a strength. And now they have the United States. They have the United States. We're under an oligarchy, and you know it. And you don't want to face it. And a lot of you just turn around and say, it's going to change. Yeah, it'll change if we vote them out.
They're shutting us down. I think we have one more question. Forgive me, folks. We've gone beyond our time, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it.
What would you say it was like to work with your own son in Battlestar Galactica?
It's a blessing. I was very grateful that he got the job. I mean, I didn't know that we were going to give him the job. He went out and he auditioned with a whole bunch of other people, and he got it. And he was a hot dog. And I was so blessed to have him on the set all those years, because we had a wonderful time. And he's the only young pilot that made it to Earth with his baby. It was crazy. I just said, wow, you made it.
Well, that was part of your rider on the show. They had to ensure that he made it.
Not really. All I can tell you all, and I thank you, Adam. I want to thank this man. Please, let's give it up for Adam and what he's been able to understand.
Stop.
No. You can't. You have to understand something. We would not have any of this understanding from Star Trek to all the way through now for years that you've been doing this and creating this unbelievable understanding between, they call us geeks. They say everything. You know that we were never nominated for any kind of an accolade for the our work in front of the camera. The Peabody Award. Yeah, that's true. The whole unit got the Peabody, and I was very grateful for that because that's a very high honor. I do agree with that. But we got no Emmys. We got a couple of Emmys for special effects, and I think one for writing, but no directing, no.
Got an awful lot of validation right here now.
It's because of you. Just remember one thing. We have the voice. We are the people. We are the future. If we can turn around and understand ourselves to be the best that we can be today better than you were yesterday. Please.
Amazing.
Wow. He's such a great guy, too. If you've met him in person, he is just genuinely nice man. So what a great interview.
Absolutely love that guy. However, Kit Bowen, it is time to tell everybody what's on the docket in October.
In October, we've got coming up a salute to Cobra Kai, the great Netflix series that's based on the Karate Kid franchise. It's coming to Chicago, October 25th and 26th at the Westin O'Hare. Got to check that out. And also, the same weekend, if you're a Vampire Diaries fan, then you're going to have to head to Orlando. So we have a very great big vampire fan weekend in Orlando, also the 25th and 26th. So 2 choices, great choices to make.
Fantastic. Amazing. Can't wait for those. Also, everybody, in November, we've got Trek to Chicago towards the end of November, the weekend before Thanksgiving. Get your tickets now. Reserve your rooms now. Purchase some extra ticketed events. We have things like Coffee and Croissants with Gates McFadden from the TNG episode attached. We also have the live band, the Tim Russ crew, rocking out for all of you. So definitely go to creationent.com for all of that information. That's it for us this week, right, Kit?
Yep, that's it. Yep.
All right.
We've got more podcasts coming up, so definitely stay tuned.
Can't wait for it. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time on the Creation Entertainment Podcast.